Hello students, myself Professor S.J. Ahmed from Department of Civil Engineering, KLS VDIT, Halia. Students, in the last online class, we have discussed about the topics of module number 4. In that, we have discussed about the industrial wastewater treatment method, and we have discussed the methods like neutralization, equalization, and proportioning. And also, we have discussed removal of organic, inorganic, and colloidal solids. Today, in this class, we'll discuss another two topics of model number model number 4, that is combined treatment methods. We'll also discuss its merits, demerits, and feasibility principle, and also another topic, that is principle of discharge of raw, partially treated, and completely treated waste into streams. And also, if time permits, we'll discuss about the topics mentioned in your syllabus, that is module number 5, process flow sheets, sources and characteristics of industrial wastewater treatment methods, reuse and recovery and disposal of cotton and textile industry, and also tanning industry. Now, come to the first topic, that is, as I told you, we are going to discuss about the combined treatment methods, and also we'll discuss the advantages, disadvantages, and economic feasibility of the same. Now let us introduce the let me introduce the subject, that is combined treatment methods. Yes, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is it clearly audible? No?
Hi, yes, sir. Clearly audible, sir.
Okay, then. Let me continue. So, combined treatment. The concept of common or combined effluent treatment plant, the short form is CETP, has been accepted as a solution for collecting, conveying, treating, and disposing of effluents from industrial estates. The effluents include industrial wastewaters and domestic sewage generated in these estates. The CETPs are designed to help small scale and medium scale industries located within to have a high pollution potential. These industries cannot afford to treat their waste waters individually because of space constraints and financial limitations. But they are expected to give at least preliminary treatment in order to ensure that the common collecting sewer remains free flowing. It may be necessary in certain cases to provide pH correction also before discharging the effluents into the collecting sewer. As is the case with any wastewater treatment facility, a CTP is designed on the basis of first one is the quality and flow rate of the wastewater, standard of quality of treated effluent stipulated by the Pollution Control Authority. Third one is possibility of recycle, reuse, or recovery of treated wastewater. Fourth one is availability of land, labor, power for operating and maintaining the CTP. And fifth one is willingness of the industries located in the industrial estate to contribute towards the capital and operating expenses of the CTP. A CTP can be changed to a combined effluent treatment plant when it collects domestic sewage from surrounding areas and treats it with industrial waste. The advantage of such a system are, first one is dilution is offered to the toxic constituents and inorganic dissolved solids in the industrial waste. Second one is continuous seeding of microorganism is possible when the mixture is subjected to biological treatment. Third one, better control over treatment plant is possible than if sewage is treated in a separate plant. Fourth one, Sewage provides nitrogen and phosphorus as nutrients to the microorganisms which treat industrial waste deficient in these elements. This reduces running cost of adding chemicals to some extent. CTPs are broadly grouped under two headings. Those are, first one is homogeneous, in which industries producing similar goods are located in one area. For example, tanneries or engineering goods or pulp and paper mills, etc. And heterogeneous, second one is heterogeneous, in which industries producing widely diverse are placed together, such as chemical dairy, wood and fruit processing, tanneries, pulp and paper mills, pharmaceutical, etc. Designing a treatment plant for the first group is easier than for the second group, as the characteristics of raw waste produced in the former tend to show lesser variation than the latter. Now, the advantages of providing a CTP are, first one is small and medium scale industries are relieved of the problem of treating their effluents. Second one is wastewater treatment is assured, thereby helping pollution control. Third one, the pollution controlling authorities have to monitor only one outlet to check the performance of the CTP. Fourth one, participating industries have a commitment to generate only wastewaters acceptable for treatment in the CTP. Fifth one, industries can concentrate on finding ways and means of reducing pollution at source, reduce water and power consumption to the extent possible. Many factors need careful consideration in establishing CETP, that is Common Effluent Treatment Plant or Combined Effluent Treatment Plant. Now come to the feasibility of CETP. Ownership of CETP can be either by private sector, public sector, or joint private and public sector. Now come to the, let us discuss in brief about all these private sector ownership. In this, individual industries form a cooperative company and become its shareholders. And advantage of such a sector is, first one, expression of commitment to pollution control by the industries. Second one is short-term problems of manpower and equipment can be resources available in member industries. This form of ownership is generally accepted, although there can be conflict among member industries regarding wastewater quality and quantity. All participating industries pay a fair share in the cost of treatment depending on quality and quantity of wastewater. Failure to pay can result in imposing penalty on the defaulting industry by way of non-acceptance of its effluent into the CTP. Second sector, that is public sector ownership, the State Industrial Development Corporation, that is SIDC, provide all infrastructural facilities including CTPs. But these being government organization, conflict of interest in regard to compliance and strict enforcement by the state pollution control boards may be difficult. Third sector is that is joint private and public ownership. A company is formed by the SIDC and the Industries Association. This arrangement improves availability of funds, but it can result in delays in defining responsibilities. Now, let us have a discussion over the financial aspect of CETP. It is common observation that the unit cost of treatment becomes very high if wastewater flows in small. Similarly, a group of heterogeneous industries will produce an effluent with varying quality. Hence, it becomes costlier to treat than if the group consists of homogeneous industries. Topographic conditions also play an important part in arriving at the cost of treatment as well as the method of collecting and conveying wastewater from member industries. After a detailed study of 40 CETPs, that is Kantawala author made the following recommendation. A detailed techno-economic study of conveyance of wastewater is necessary as it accounts for a large part of capital cost. Second observation is that optimization of pre-treatment by individual industries is essential. Third observation is that phase-wise development of CETP should be seriously considered, but the quality of the treated effluent must meet the standards laid down by the pollution control authorities. Fourth one, upgradation of the CETP should also be kept in mind in view of the possibility of increased flows, stronger waste, stricter standards of treated effluents, etc. Fifth observation they have made is in-plant pollution control should be encouraged by the central and state pollution control boards and Ministry of Environment and Forest. Sixth one, common effluent treatment plants should be converted into combined effluent treatment plants with obvious advantages as mentioned earlier. Another group of authors, that is Deshpande and Singh, have suggested, that is in their research paper, besides the usual factors to be considered in the design of CTP, the classification of waste as first one, those amenable to biological treatment, those which can be biological treated after acclimatization, third one, those which need pre-treatment, and those which contain non-biodegradable and toxic pollutants. They also suggested the three following approaches for the process design of CET. First one is modular approach, which consider changes in the volume of wastewater as the industrial estate develops. Second one is upgradability approach, wherein the present form of treatment would need upgradation on account of increased flows, stronger waste, stringent effluent standards, and increased possibility of recovery of valuable material from the wastewater. Third one, service center approach, which should provide a workshop, garage, library, instrumentation facility, and a conference hall. The CTP at Sarigram, it is an example, okay, under Gujarat Industrial Development Corporation, that is known as GIDC, was studied by these authors. It serves four zones divided according to activities, namely Zone 1, mechanical and water intensive, second one, chemical, third one, housing and plastics, fourth one, mechanical. Total flow is 14,200 meter per day from that particular estate. Treated effluent was proposed to be reused in the estate, used for horticulture or given to surrounding farmland during dry season. And an author, Prabhu, presented a case study of a CTP whose development was done in phases. In phase 1, an equalization cum neutralization tank and aerated lagoon was provided. In phase 2, chemical coagulation, settling, and sludge handling was introduced between ECN tank, that is equalization cum neutralization tank, and aerated lagoon. In phase 3, an additional intermediate clarifier, second stage aeration tank, and secondary clarifier were added. Sewage from nearby residential colony was added at this stage to the industrial waste to dilute high total dissolved solids in the wastewater and to seed the mixture with microorganisms. In phase 4, dissolved air flotation, that is known as DAF, was added downstream of clarifluculator. In addition, sludge thickening and centrifugation were provided. The treated effluent was discharged to the municipal sewer. A heterogeneous group of industries numbering 348, including units during rolling and pickling, textile processing, plating and anodizing, soap making, rubber, plastic goods, and candle making was established as Wazirpur Industrial Area by Delhi Development Authority. The need for a CTP was felt because the effluents damaged the sewerage system and air pollution due to industries had an adverse effect on the health of the workers. Characteristics of combined wastewater were tabulated as below here. You can see the wastewater generated from that particular locality. The pH is around 3.39 to 6.8. It is highly acidic, and turbidity was 65 to 600. That is TSS, that is total suspended solids. It is around 404 to 1573 mg per liter. BOD 72 to 112. COD 248 to 900. Like this, you can see other poisonous constituents also here: nickel, total chromium, iron, cadmium, zinc, copper. The wastewater was acidic in nature and contained heavy metals. The treatment proposed was therefore equalization, neutralization with lime and settling in a clarifluculator. The settled sludge would be stored in a lagoon while the clarified effluent would be discharged into municipal sewer. Construction, operation and maintenance of the CETP would be the responsibility of Municipal Corporation of Delhi, while the cost of operation and maintenance would be met by the industries. So this is an arrangement you can see in Delhi. This is the example. Okay. So as far as your syllabus is concerned, this particular uh, literature is sufficient for that particular topic. Now, I have referred the book that is Industrial Wastewater Treatment by A.D. Patwardhan, and also you can see the application. So this particular topic is very important if you work as an environmental consulting engineer, or I can say consulting environmental engineer. Okay, so this is about the combined effluent treatment plant, that is CET. Now, yes, Jai Shri Hiremat.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let me move for the next topic. That is, I have discussed that in class number 41. So that is nothing but the last topic of fourth module. That is principles of discharge of raw, partially treated and completely treated waste into streams. Students, this is particular topic you cannot get in any single book or in any Google search here. Okay, so that's why I referred so many websites as well as books to write 11 general principle of discharge of raw, partially treated and completely treated waste into streams. Okay, so first one I can say is the major aim of wastewater treatment should be to protect human health and prevent environmental degradation by the safe disposal of domestic and industrial wastewater generated during the use of water. So this you can consider as a principle here. Understood? So whatever the wastewater generated from the locality should not degrade the environment as well as it should not affect the human health. So this can be considered as first principle of discharge of while discharging the wastewater to the natural water body. Secondly, I can say one of the objectives of wastewater treatment should be recycle wastewater for reuse in irrigation, thereby preventing wastewater resources, which is the scarce in arid and semi-arid regions of the world. So this particular principle I can explain with the help of an example nearby example, in Paris sugar industry, the spent wash is subjected to distillation process, and the distilled spent wash will produces a clear water, and that is supplied to the nearby farmers, that is to irrigate the land. Okay. Third principle, the natural process of treatment of raw wastewater by dilution should be considered adequate for smaller population and low population density, as well as human activities resulting lower pollution load. So this is another principle I can say. Understood? So unnecessarily we cannot pollute the small water resource here. Understood? So if at all, if it is unavoidable, just we have to suggest the various industries to treat their wastewater initially or before they are discharged into the natural water body. And fourth one I can say is consideration of more advanced technology in treating wastewater to avoid eutrophication, fish kill. Thus, additional treatment steps and control measures are necessary. So this I can say for the wastewater effluents from the plants like nuclear power corporations, so which again consists of hazardous waste. Understood? So if those are not treated properly using some advanced treatment techniques, then ultimately they will lead in the killing of the fish. Eutrophication is nothing but the enormous growth of aquatic plant. So this I can give the example. Next one I can say is fifth one, wastewater effluent containing emerging organic contaminants such as persistent organic pollutants, which are known as POPs, brominated flame retardants, pre-fluorinated compounds, and pharmaceuticals should be removed during before raw partially treated sewage. So this particular procedure is adopted in the treatment of the wastewater from pharmaceutical industries, fertilizer and pesticides industries, and also we can use this in the treatment of the nuclear power generation. Okay. Sixth one, the health risk from wastewater usually comes from microbial pathogens, nutrient loads, heavy metals, and some organic chemicals. Bacteria are the most common pathogens usually found in treated wastewater and cause several infections. Therefore, these should be removed before the treated wastewater is discharged into the natural streams. So this I can say, this happens when the raw sewage is discharged directly into the natural water body. And also, I can say some food processing industries produce the wastewater with higher concentration of nutrients, which leads in the growth of microorganisms and pathogenic bacteria. So that's why before they are discharged into the natural water body, they have to be treated properly. Seventh one, I can say waste stabilization ponds should be used to provide an effective and low cost means for handling domestic wastewaters for smaller towns and communities to avoid the effluents on downstream users of water and also the groundwater, as they are simple to design, operate and maintain. So this is about the usage of, this is the principle about the usage of low-cost treatment methods for sewage and industrial wastewater. Eighth one, I can say the adequate storage facility for wastewater should be provided in wastewater treatment plants, that is WWTPs, wastewater treatment plants, so that they should not give room to untreated wastewater loss into the surrounding lands and rivers, especially during heavy rains and flooding. So this particular thing has to be followed by each and every industries here, because some of the industrial wastewater will have the higher concentration of pollutants. So therefore, they have to collect their own wastewater in their own land during heavy rainfall. Otherwise, it leads in the pollution of the rainwater or storm runoff here. Understood? Ninth one, I can say, if the river water in which the treated wastewater is discharged is to be used for irrigation, then the treated waste should be free from POPs, heavy metals, etc., which avoids the accumulation in soils, which can be available for uptake for plants and animals. So this is the principle related to treated water, treated wastewater. I can say the effluents in a sense, that is the water which comes out after treatment, that is known as effluent. Okay. 10th one, I can say the raw or partially treated or treated wastewater to be discharged into the streams should not contain any toxic materials even at very low concentration if the river water has to be used for cultivation of vegetable. So this is also very important. Treatment of the wastewater generated from a industry, they should not contain traces amount of poisonous materials or poisonous compounds here. So this happens in case of nuclear power corporation, as well as in pharmaceutical industries, as well as in fertilizers and pesticides industry. Treatment of the wastewater, there will be traces amount of poisonous contaminants. So that's why the effluent should be tested properly using some proper laboratory techniques before they are discharged into the natural water body, or else yes, before they are discharged into natural water body. Last one I can say is the raw industrial waste or partially treated waste of an industry which has to be discharged into the stream should be free from polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that is known as PAH. This is one of the aromatic compound, I can say. Understood? Once this wastewater with PAH released into the environment, they lead in itching and irritation. They can also cause cancer and are endocrine dis, dis okay. Yes, let it be what I have written. Okay, disruptors, or it leads in the cancer here. Understood? So this I can say is again in case of industrial wastewater or wastewater from nuclear power corporation. Okay, so I have referred these books. Apart from these books, I have referred so many websites to write down the various or principles. Okay. So as I told you, these topics are also very important in municipal services as well as working as a consulting environmental engineer. Okay, students. Okay, any doubts? Any doubts? Sudha?
No, sir.
Okay, then let me continue. Okay, now this is the completion of fourth module. Now, as I told you initially, let me discuss about the topics which they have mentioned in module number 5 in VTU syllabus. So that is in fifth module, we have to go through or we have to study about the process flow chart, sources and characteristics of industrial wastewater, treatment methods, reuse and recovery and disposal of the industrial of the wastewater of cotton and textile industry, tanning industry, cane sugar and distilleries, dairy industry, steel and cement industry, paper and pulp industry, pharmaceutical and food processing industry. I don't know why these this particular module is included for you people, because we have studied this particular topic itself as a separate subject in MTech level. But anyhow, in 18 scheme, there will be a dilution of the entire syllabus with us with the same subject code here, and that will be studied by 5th semester students. Okay, so to start with, today we'll discuss about the process flow chart, characteristics of wastewater, as well as treatment methods and effect of the wastewater generated from the cotton and textile mills as well as tanneries here. Let me start with uh, with the first industry, that is cotton and textile industries. Yes, ma. Jai Shri, is it clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. Okay, let me continue. Okay, so this is the first topic. Let us discuss about the process flow chart, sources and characteristics of industrial wastewater, treatment methods, reuse and recovery and disposal of cotton and textile industry. Now, the fibers used in the textile industry may be broadly classified into four groups, that is cotton, wool, regenerated and synthetics. But as far as your syllabus is concerned, we will discuss about the wastewater generated in cotton textile mill waste. An integrated cotton mill produces its own yarn from the raw cotton. Production of yarn from raw cotton includes steps like opening and cleaning, pickling, carding, drying, spinning, winding, and warping. We'll discuss the meaning of each term used here. Okay, all these sequences are dry operation and as such do not contribute to the liquid waste of the mill. And you can also see the process flow chart of cotton cloth manufacture in composite mill. So that is shown in figure like this. So this is the cotton cloth manufacture in a composite mill. So just you can go through the notes which I have uploaded in WhatsApp group. Here raw cotton, cleaning and opening, spinning, sizing, weaving, resizing, washing, tearing, wash. Okay, we have got so many steps here, so many processes of manufacturing the cloth. Just you can go through the notes which I have uploaded in the WhatsApp group. Understood? Now, let us discuss about the various technical terms in the used related to cotton textile mills. First one is carding. What do you mean by this carding? It is a process in the manufacture of spun yarns whereby the staple is opened, cleaned, aligned, and formed into a continuous untwisted strand called sliver. Second one is drawing. It is the process of increasing the length per unit weight of slide. Third one is combing, a method to remove short fibers, foreign matters from cotton stock by pressing it through a series of needles or combs. Spinning. It is a process by which a long strand of fibers is drawn out to a short strand and converted into yarn. After drawing out, it is subjected to twisting and the resulting yarn is wound into a bobbin. Next technical term is winding. It is the process of transfer of a yarn or thread from one type of package to another. Weaving. It is the process of interlocking two yarns of similar material so that they cross each other at right angles to produce a woven fabric. Students, don't you worry much about the technical terms used here, but the detailed study will be done by textile engineers. So just you should have a brief knowledge about the manufacturing process of cloth in a cotton textile industry. Now, let us talk about the wastewater generation. The entire liquid waste from the textile mills comes out from the following operations of like slashing. This is also called as sizing, scouring and desizing, bleaching, mercerizing, dyeing and finishing. In slashing, that is to give it the tensile strength and smoothness necessary for subsequent weaving. The yarn is strengthened it with starch or other sizing substances. Waste originates from this section due to spills and the floor washings at the weak end. After slashing, the yarn goes for weaving. The prepared cloth now requires a scouring and desizing to remove natural impurities and the slashing compounds. Enzymes are usually used in India to hydrolyze the starch. Acids may also be used for this purpose. Caustic soda, soda ash, detergents, etc. are used in scouring in Kair boilers to remove the natural impurities such as greases, waxes, fats, and other impurities. The desized cloth is subjected to Kair boiling, that is, they are boiled with the aid of steam in an alkaline solution containing caustic soda. After boiling, the spent liquor is discharged as waste. This is a strong waste, dark brown in color and highly alkaline. Temperature of the effluent is high. BOD of the liquor is also high, contributing 35% of the total waste. Replacement of soap used in scouring by low BOD detergents may reduce BOD load by 35% and about 50% of the total pollution load of the mill is contributed by this section. Next operation which leads in wastewater is bleaching. Bleaching operation use oxidizing chemicals like peroxides and hypochlorites to remove natural coloring material and to render the clothes white. The bleaching process is necessary where fabrics are to be given a full white or where they are to be dyed in specific shades. In this process, the natural coloring matter in the textile material is removed by the use of oxidizing chemicals like peroxides and hypochlorites. Next process which leads in the generation of wastewater is mercerizing. Consists of passing the cloth through 20% caustic soda solution. The process improves the strength, elasticity, luster, and dye affinity. Waste water from this section is recycled after sodium hydroxide recovery. Dyeing may be done in various ways using different types of dyes and chemicals. Classes of dyes used include bad dyes, developing dyes, naphtha dyes, sulfur dyes, basic dyes, direct dyes, etc. Direct dyes, that is neutral dyes, are used as they are easy to apply and no auxiliary chemicals are needed. Okay, so this is basic dyes again. This class of dyes give bright color. They are applied along with weak organic acid. That is again sulfur dyes for dark colors. These dyes employed. These are sulfur compounds applied usually with sodium sulfide followed oxidation with chromate. Vat dyes require caustic soda and sodium hydrosulfide to reduce the dye into a soluble form. Sulfur dyes are reduced by sodium sulfide and oxidized by chromate. Indigo dyes are also similar to bad dyes but require only air oxidation. Color from the dyes vary widely, and although those are not usually toxic, they are aesthetically objectionable when they impart color in the drinking water supplies. Now I can say this particular table will shows the characteristics of wastewater from a cotton and textile mills here. Understood. So I have tabulated different characteristics here. pH, it is around 9.8 to 11.8. So it is alkaline in nature, and total alkalinity is 17.35. BOD is 760. COD is 1418. Total solids, it is 6170 mg per liter, and total chromium is 12.5 mg per liter. Now, let us discuss about the effects of the cotton textile and woolen textile mill wastes on receiving streams or sewers. The crude waste, if discharged into the streams, causes a rapid depletion of the dissolved oxygen of the streams. The condition aggravates due to the settlement of the suspended substances and subsequent decomposition of the deposited sludges in anaerobic condition. The alkalinity and the toxic substances like sulfides and chromium affect the aquatic life and also interfere with the biological treatment process. Some of the dyes are also found toxic. So this is the effect if at all the wastewater from textile mill is discharged into the natural water body. Now, how we can reduce these effects here? By treating the wastewater, we can reduce. Now, treat, let us discuss about the treatment of cotton and woolen textile mill waste. The pollution load of the waste is dealt with within the operations like segregation, equalization, neutralization, chemical precipitation, chemical oxidation, and biological oxidation. Several chemicals are used to reduce the BOD by chemical coagulation. These are alum, ferrous sulfate, ferric sulfate, ferric chlorides, etc. Lime or sulfuric acid is used to adjust the pH in this process. Calcium chloride is found to be effective in treating wool scouring waste. The dye waste may be treated economically by biological methods with prior equalization, neutralization, and chemical oxidation for certain waste. A composite waste, when free from toxic substances, may be treated as efficiently as domestic sewage, as most of the textile mill waste contains sufficient nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. Trickling filters, activated sludge process, waste stabilization ponds, all these types of biological treatment have been tried for the treatment of textile mill waste, and all of them are found to be very effective. Excellent results were also obtained with extended aeration in treating a strong waste even without any equalization and pre-treatment. This method eliminates the necessity of sludge digestion as well. So this particular notes I have prepared using these references here. That is, the first one is industrial wastewater treatment by A.D. Patwardhan, and also I have used the lecture notes on industrial wastewater treatment by Srinivas Angadi, who is assistant professor in civil engineering of Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, that is Dundigal, Hyderabad. Okay, students, these topics are very important in sanitary engineering as well as if you want to work as a consulting environmental engineer. Okay, so this is about the process flow chart, wastewater generation, as well as the uh, characteristics of wastewater, disposal treatment method, and disposal of cotton and textile mill wastes. Esma, Sudha, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay then. Let me continue. Last topic. Don't get bored. Okay. So that is next one is 43. Okay. So we have already discussed about the process flow chart as well as disposal methods, treatment methods, etc. about the cotton and textile mills. Now, as per your syllabus, next we have to study the process flow chart as well as characteristics of wastewater, disposal methods, treatment methods, etc. of tanning industry here. Okay, so let me take a break for 2 minutes. Don't leave the meeting. Jayashree, Jayashree,
Yes, sir.
let me take 2 minutes break, ma. We'll continue after 2 minutes. Okay, don't leave the
Okay.
meeting. Sudha,
Oh,
yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me take 2 minutes break. Okay, don't leave the
Okay.
meeting. Yeah. Yes, students, welcome back. Sudha, are you there? Sudha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Let me continue. Now, we will discuss about the process flow chart, sources and characteristics of industrial wastewater treatment methods, reuse and recovery and disposal of tanning industry. I think you have heard the word tanning or tannery. Understood? So it is nothing but the extraction. It is an industry in which there will be extraction of leather, charma, leather from hides or skins of animals. Okay, so let me discuss. Cows and buffaloes are called hides. Skins of goats and sheep are called skins. Tanning is the art of converting animal skins into leather. The tannery wastes are characterized by strong color, high BOD, high pH, and high dissolved salts. The tanning process consumes large quantities of water. Most of this water used is finally discharged as wastewater carrying high amounts of suspended solids, dissolved solids, BOD, COD, strong color, bad smell. Depending upon the type of process, 30 to 40 liters of wastewater is used to process each kilogram of raw hide or skin into finished leather. Now, let us discuss about the process tanning process. The tanning process consists of three basic stages. First one is preparation of the hide for tanning. Second one is tanning proper. And third one is finishing. So this particular flow chart shows the different processes involved in the extraction of leather from hides or skins. So just you can refer the uh, notes which I have uploaded in WhatsApp group. Tannery waste originate from beam house and the tan yard. In the beam house, curing, flushing, washing, soaking, dehairing, lime splitting, baiting, pickling, and degreasing operations are carried out. In the tan yard, the final leather is prepared by several processes. These include vegetable or chrome tanning, shaving, and finishing. The finishing operation include bleaching, shifting, and fat liquoring and coloring. So one of the example I can say the Bata. Bata is a company which runs its industries of or its tanneries all over India as well as abroad. And another company I can say is Woodlands. Woodlands is also a company which runs various tanneries. That is nothing but they extract the leather from hides and skins of animals. So let me discuss in brief. So I have discussed in brief about various process here and also now what are the sources of wastewater in a tannery as well as their characteristics. The waste may be classified as continuous flow waste and intermittent flow waste. Continuous flow waste consists of wash waste after various processes as comprise of a large portion of the total waste and are relatively less polluted than other one. Spent liquors belonging to soaking, liming, baiting, pickling, tanning, and finishing discharge intermittently. Although these are relatively small in volume, they are highly polluted and contain varieties of soluble organic and inorganic substances. The wastewater from beam house process with example soaking, liming, disliming, etc., are highly alkaline, containing decomposing organic matter, hair, lime, sulfide, and organic nitrogen with high BOD and COD. The spent soap liquor contains soluble proteins of the hides, dirt, and a large amount of common salt when salted hard hides are processed. Okay, so I have discussed the effects of wastewater on receiving water as well as sewers. Tannery wastes are characterized by high BOD, high suspended solids, and strong color. These wastes, when discharged as such, deplete the dissolved oxygen concentration of the receiving stream very rapidly due to both chemical and biological oxidation of sulfur and organic compounds. A secondary pollution of the stream may occur due to the deposition of solids near the discharge point and its subsequent vitrification. Presence of tannins in the raw water renders it unsuitable for use in certain industries. The tannery waste, when discharged into sewer, only chokes the sewer due to the deposition of solids, but also reduces the cross section of the sewer arising out of the lime encrustation. And also I have discussed about the treatment of tannery wastewater. The method of treatment waste may be classified as physical, chemical, and biological. The physical treatment includes mainly screening and primary sedimentation. Screens are required to remove flushing, hairs, and other floating substances. About 98% of chromium is precipitated in the primary sedimentation tanks and is removed along with the sludge. So I have also explained the chemical coagulation, biological treatment, etc. And this particular table shows the characteristics of wastewater from a canning industry. So I have the pH of the tannery wastewater is in between 9.8 to 11.8. So that means it is alkaline. Organic solids, that is around 1500 mg per liter. Hardness 1600 mg per liter. BOD is 1000 mg per liter. Sulfide 1000 mg per liter. And total solids around 6170 mg per liter. And also chromium. Chromium also you can find that is for used for dyes part this particular chromium to wastewater, so that may be around 40 mg per liter. Again, I have referred these particular references to write the above notes. And students, these topics are very important in municipal services and also if you want to work as an environmental consulting engineer. Okay. So in the next class, we'll discuss about the other topics of the module number 5. So that is, we'll discuss about the process flow charts, sources, disposal methods, treatment methods, etc. of cane sugar industry, distilleries, dairy industry in the next online class. Thank you, students. Thank you, one and all. Yes, Jayashree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is there any doubt? Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. Sudha,
Yes, sir.
shall I conclude the class?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, then. Let me conclude. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.